Welcome to another episode of More Than Books, stories from the Kanawha County Public Library. I'm your host, Stan Howe. On this program, we take a look beyond the shelves to highlight news, activities, events, and the resources available for KCPL patrons. A public library is made up of a variety of different departments: administration, circulation services, automation, and reference, among others. One of those departments at KCPL is Technical Services. A Technical Services librarian specializes in acquiring, organizing, and preserving all kinds of materials for the library. That includes acquiring books, DVDs, and other materials, cataloging both hard copies and online material, and classifying and organizing materials for the public to use. In many ways, Technical Services is the lifeblood of any library. Technical Services librarians collect and preserve materials in print, manuscript, electronic, audio, visual, and other formats, and provide access to these records by organizing, cataloging, and indexing them. In other words, they create order out of chaos for the library and its patrons. Let's take a deep dive into the world of Technical Services as our traveling correspondent, Jai Ravine, visits with Marion Veld, the head of KCPL's Technical Services Department.
All right, thanks so much, Marion, for spending time with us today. And
yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, we're hanging out here in the lovely Technical Services Department, lower level of the main library. And yeah, we're here to talk about all things Technical Services. Why don't you just give us like an overview of all the different things that you and your staff manage in this department?
Well, first of all, we're not IT.
Right. A lot of people hear Technical Services and they're like, IT?
Right. Yeah, the term Technical Services actually predates any kind of automation, so we just kept it even though it was a little confusing.
Right.
So Technical Services is responsible for the collections of the library.
Gotcha.
So everything that is in the library, we selected here in this department. So books, videos, audiobooks.
Books and more than books.
More than books, electronic books, exactly. Even our tool library,
yeah.
we select all of our tools for the tool library here. So that's the first step in the process of building the collections. We select them, we order them. Once they're ordered, they go into our catalog so that if anyone wants that thing, they can put a hold on it, and as soon as it's ready, they will get it.
Gotcha.
As soon as we're done with it.
Right.
Here in Technical Services.
Right.
So a lot of our processing is preparing the books for circulation. So putting on labels, stickers, book jackets.
Right.
If it's a paperback, we might put on something to preserve it a little longer.
Right.
That's called processing.
Gotcha.
So a lot of that the books or materials will come from the vendor already processed. We do a little bit of the processing here, not much.
Right.
Then once the orders have arrived, right over there we have a long table where there are usually big boxes there. Today there aren't, but that's where the orders come when they arrive and get checked in, so that the catalog knows that they're actually in the system now.
Right.
Then the catalog record that we put in the catalog when we ordered them is just kind of a brief placeholder.
Okay.
So they get more detailed cataloging once they're in the department.
I see.
And that's basically what we do. We pay the bills, of course.
Right.
And so we're responsible for the collections budget as well, and making sure that we stay on target, buy the right amount of books for the right branches at the right time.
Right.
And keep within the budget. So
Gotcha.
That's a big deal is getting the right books to the right branch.
Right, for sure.
Or the right materials to the right branch.
Right.
I shouldn't say books because clearly it's more than books.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
But yeah, so that's a basic overview of what we do.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I'm wondering if you could walk us through kind of like the life cycle of a KCPL item, like from maybe when a patron fills out a request an item form, and then and then how it goes from there.
So the request an item form goes to our selectors. We have 2 selectors.
Gotcha.
And they look at it and say, is that something that should be in the collection? And if it is, they order it.
Gotcha.
If they decide it's not, we also do interlibrary loan
Right.
in this department. And so if they decide it's not something that we need in the collection, it will go to our interlibrary loan processor.
Gotcha.
And he will process it and get it just for that patron and then send it back to the owning library, wherever that may be.
Right.
And we can get them from anywhere in the world. Mainly they will come from the United States.
Right.
But we technically could get them from anywhere in the world.
Wow. Okay.
Because OCLC is a worldwide database.
Okay.
Mainly North American, but it is worldwide. And that's where we find the books that we will interlibrary loan.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once the selectors select it, then I have an order specialist who will order it.
Gotcha.
And she also downloads the brief records to the catalog.
Okay.
Then we wait.
Right.
It comes in. And then I have a clerk who checks everything in.
Right.
And then they go to cataloging, they get cataloged. If there's any processing that's needed, then the person who checks them in will do that processing.
Gotcha.
They get cataloged, and then they get put in one of these bins
Right.
if they're going to a branch. And
Right.
the delivery person comes every day and picks up these bins and takes them where they need to go.
Right.
If they're staying here, then we have shelves just outside in the hall where we put them, and then the shelvers will organize them and shelve them for
Right.
us.
Gotcha.
So that's the new book or the new material part.
Yeah.
You can tell I've been a librarian a long time. I keep saying books.
Right.
That's the new material part.
Right.
And then we also do the deselection here or
Right,
weeding.
right.
So once things have passed their useful life cycle, nobody's checking them out anymore.
Right.
Then we send out lists to each department of things that need to be weeded, and then they take them out of the catalog and put them in the book sale.
Right.
So that's the final part of our
Gotcha.
materials life cycle.
Yeah. The retirement to the book sale.
Yes.
And
yes.
then where hopefully they will find a new home.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
And we do sell a lot of books at the book sale.
Cool. Yeah, that's
yes.
great. And
And the book sale is also more than books.
Right, yeah.
You can also get DVDs, CDs, and things like
Right.
that at the book sale.
Yeah, and I think almost every of our locations has like an ongoing book sale that's around that
Yes.
you could
Yes.
browse. Yeah. And then
Yes.
those proceeds go back to the library itself. So
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how you all interact with other locations, because
Yes.
we're here in Charleston
Yes.
and all our locations are spread out across the county.
Yes.
How is that challenging and
Yes.
other things?
So one of the tools that we use is called Library IQ, and that gives us the circulation branch by branch. So that helps us with determining where to put materials and also what needs to be weeded.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the tools we use. Also, obviously, we have a lot of person-to-person communication. So we have what we call cabinet meetings every month, and that would include all the branch managers and also the senior management team.
Right.
Attends that. So that's the time when we all get together and discuss issues of interest to all of us, and
Right.
and share news and
Right.
hash things out, whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
So that's our formal communication, but we also do a lot of emails and phone calls. So I communicate mainly with the branch managers, but sometimes the other branch staff will email me, and oftentimes they need supplies, or
Yeah.
if they have an item that has a problem, the
Right.
RFID tag isn't working,
Right.
or a label fell off,
Right.
or those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Those don't normally come through me, but they do come through this department. So the branch staff will just email us and let us know, hey, this is coming back to you, or hey, can you mail us a label in the delivery or something like that. So so we do keep in pretty close touch with the branches.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break and have more with Marion right after this.
I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. My support team never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew who I could become as a person. been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
All right, welcome back to More Than Books. My name is Jai, and I'm the traveling correspondent here with Marion Veld, our technical services manager here at the library, in the main library in downtown Charleston. So we're gonna talk a little bit about something I love to ask librarians, which is, what has been your journey with libraries? Where did it all start? How far have you come? You know, how many borders have you crossed, and that kind of thing. So
yeah. So I was raised in rural Maine.
Okay.
And 7th grade was
Gotcha.
the first time that you were allowed to volunteer in the school library in my school.
Were you like waiting? You went in
I
6th grade, were you waiting?
I was waiting. And our school librarian was Mrs. Julie Fast.
Okay,
She was the wife of the 8th grade teacher.
Gotcha.
I told you it was rural. We had one 8th grade teacher.
Okay.
And Mrs. Fast traveled around to several libraries in the district. So we had her, I think we had her once a week.
Gotcha.
So she was kind of my first mentor, and I knew immediately my first day there I was going to be a librarian.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I decided when I was 12.
Yeah.
Went to college and majored in something totally useless because I knew I was going to library school.
Right.
So I majored in classics and French, took lots of languages.
Right.
Because that was fun for me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a geek.
Yeah.
and then I went to library school, and I took a little break between college and library school, and worked in McDonald's, because that's what you can do with a major in classics.
Exactly. Yep.
And then I went to library school. My first job was as a director of a rural library.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a county library. We had 5 branches,
Okay.
Most of which were open one afternoon a week.
Right.
The main branch was open 6 days a week. Yeah, 6 days a week.
Right.
And there were 3 of us there. Me and I had a circulation clerk and a cataloger.
Yeah.
So it was a big library geographically, but a really small library.
Right.
And I was there for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Then my husband was in the Air Force.
Right.
So we were transferred, and that was Michigan, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
I went to library school in Michigan as well.
Uh-huh.
Then we were transferred to New Mexico.
Okay.
And I walked into the library in New Mexico and said, I want a job. And they said, we need a director. And they hired me.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I was there for a year and a half.
Okay.
And then my husband retired.
Gotcha.
From the Air Force, and we came back to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was director of another rural library in Michigan for about 3 years.
Okay.
At that time, my children were small, and I was really feeling the pressure. Like, almost all of my interactions with my children were, hurry up, hurry up.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I resigned from that job, didn't work for a couple of years, and then took a part-time job as a reference librarian and cataloger at a nearby rural library.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so I've always been in rural public libraries until now.
Right.
So this is different for me.
Gotcha.
And so I was there for 17 years.
Wow.
Never intended to be there for 17
Wow.
years, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
kids grew up, and I just kind of stayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then a friend called and offered me one of my husband's Air Force friends called and offered me a position with a federal commission as a librarian.
Okay.
So I took that. That was exciting. I moved to the DC area and lived there for a while. It was really fun working on the commission. It was a lot of teamwork, doing our research and writing our report, and it was just amazing. Wow. It was an amazing experience.
Cool.
But when you're on a commission, once you turn in your report, your job's done.
Right.
So then I started looking for another job, and that's when I found this one.
Amazing. Awesome. Yay.
I did a little stint working for H&R Block in between, but and that was also fun.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a bit more about, you mentioned working in rural libraries a lot and then coming to KCPL, which is a little bit bigger. How's that sort of transition been for you, you think?
It's been very challenging. When you're the director in a rural library,
right,
basically you just do what you think is best.
Right.
That's not how it works in an urban library.
Right.
There's a lot of bureaucracy, and
Right.
it's been a challenge.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool.
So, and I started here, I should say, as a reference librarian, and did that for about 6 months.
Gotcha.
And then this position came open, and this is really my dream job.
Right. Gotcha.
When I went to library school, I took all the cataloging courses, and for those 17 years that I was working part-time, I did the majority of the cataloging for that library.
Right.
So, and it's really what I love to do, and I love technology, and of course, a lot of what we do involves technology and tech services.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the challenges with also managing like more of the digital collections as well as the physical ones?
Yeah, so almost the first thing when I took over this job, the first thing that I noticed was we were having a lot of trouble supplying the demand for digital collections.
Right.
Our digital budget is half of our collections budget, and it's not enough.
Right.
And Hoopla in particular, the Hoopla app has a lending model where the library spends X amount per day. And so when patrons go to check out a book, that pulls from that pool of what we spend per day.
Right.
And we were running out before noon.
Right.
And so I knew we had to do something.
Yeah.
And so I talked to the director about that, and we came up with the unfortunate solution that we can't afford to do this for our out-of-district patrons anymore, out-of-county patrons anymore.
Right.
We hated doing that.
Yeah.
It's not good public relations, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was really necessary.
Yeah.
So now that that's in place, we'll reevaluate our budget and see how we can better meet the needs of our in-county patrons with our digital resources.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that was my first challenge here. And we're still working on that.
Totally. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Marion. We're going to take another break here and have some more in tech services right after this.
I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary. But I'm a little misunderstood. Sorry, I almost killed you. Kids with learning and attention issues are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand. Learn more at understood.org.
All right, welcome back to More Than Books. My name is Jai, the traveling correspondent, and we are here in the Technical Services Department with Amy, Ari, and Nancy Allen, some of our lovely staff down here in Tech Services. I just want to say that I love the Tech Services staff. I love coming down here and seeing all the lovely minions that Annette keeps. Shout out to Annette and Lori, who organize our staff lunches on special holidays. They organized Croctober for Halloween. Everything was in a crock pot. Everyone was dressed up. They also organized our holiday staff lunch, and shout out to them, and shout out to Annette and all of her many minions. So welcome. Amy, how long have you been, you both have been here for quite some time, right, down here. How long have you been here, and what is your day-to-day look like for you?
I've been here for, I believe, 22 years.
Wow, all right.
No, it's been so long, I can't remember. Right now, I have been the lead collection specialist librarian for probably 5 years or so.
Okay.
I started at St. Albans working part-time in the children's department.
Okay.
And then worked my way up to full-time. And
Gotcha.
decided to go to school to get my MLS.
Right.
Here I am.
Awesome. And so lead collection specialist means what exactly?
I am over ordering circulating materials for the entire collection.
Gotcha.
So I make selections, and then there are a few people that also select. Nancy helps me, And then we have a children's librarian that selects and a
Gotcha.
reference librarian selects. So
Gotcha.
once they make their selections,
Mm-hmm.
they're passed on to me
Right.
for final approval before ordering.
Gotcha. Right on. Okay, cool. How often are you ordering items? Like, is there like a sort of like regularity to it, or is it like not regular?
Oh, it's regular.
Yeah.
It's daily.
Every day?
That's
Wow.
our main-
Wow. Yeah.
main thing. There's,
Uh-huh.
I mean, for all our locations
Yeah.
and all of the order tools we look through.
Right.
That's our
Yeah.
main
Yeah.
goal of the day. Is
Right.
To get materials.
Right.
Selected.
And what kinds of things do you consider when you're selecting things? Like,
There's a lot. We look at reviews.
right.
We also have a program that we use that shows us what materials are popular where, as far as genres or as far as nonfiction. So we can kind
Right.
of place
Gotcha.
what's needed at each location. We also get patron requests,
Yeah.
and then we also go by book clubs that are showcased on news.
Right.
There's like Oprah
Right.
and Good Morning America, Reese Witherspoon.
Mm-hmm.
Those are always going to be popular.
Right.
So
Actually, one of our book festival people from last book festival, R.F. Kwong, got featured on Reese Witherspoon's thing. So
yeah.
her book club. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah. All right. You want to hand the mic to Nancy? We'll hear from Nancy. Nancy Allen. Hello. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. So tell me how long you've been at KCPL and what your role is.
Well, I've also been here for quite a while. I started in 2008.
Okay. Yeah.
And I also started at St. Albans.
All
branch.
right. Yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
actually, I take that back. I started here
Okay.
at Maine as a part-time LAT.
Gotcha.
And then I went to St. Albans as a full-time LAT.
Uh-huh.
And liked it so much. Our branch manager said, you should get your MLS.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you like this. So I did. I went to Clarion University of Pennsylvania, got my
Okay.
MLS. And then I came back here. I was a children's librarian
Uh-huh.
and then a reference librarian.
Okay.
And then I've always wanted to work in tech services.
Gotcha.
That's what I really wanted to do. So,
Yeah.
So I came down here in 2018.
Uh-huh.
And I do, our jobs are very similar. I select items all day.
Right.
Put them into carts.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then Amy approves my carts. And we do a lot of collection maintenance
Uh-huh.
activities, like making sure the collection is circulating well and is up to
Right.
date.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool. What are some other things that you like really enjoy about your role in tech services now? Versus like what you've worked in at different things like children's department and whatnot. So
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a lot different than in the past I've done a lot of programming, story time. So it's a lot different than that, but I like just kind of the more granular aspect of it.
Yeah.
Seeing what circulates well and what does well at different locations. And,
Yeah.
I love reading reviews. I love getting to see all the new materials
Yeah.
as they come out. It's super fascinating.
Nice.
Yeah, so I really like that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed that when I've checked out like sci-fi books, a lot of them have come from Dunbar.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just interesting, like different branches will have sort of different, like their collections will be like slightly different, right? And
Right.
yeah.
Right. We try to
Mhm.
tailor them
Yeah.
to their patrons.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Is there anything else that you all want to add about life here in tech services? We are in the basement, and I hear that technical services departments are kind of always in the basement. Were you in the basement before the renovation of Maine?
That we actually, Amy and I were.
Okay.
But everyone else was on the fourth floor.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
weird.
we were actually separated. It's really
Uh-huh.
cool in the new building. We love our new workroom, but it's also been really nice working together. with
Right.
everybody.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that y'all's department has the best decor.
Oh, thank you.
And that's part of why I love coming down here and saying hi to you all. So
Well, that's
yeah.
cool.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Amy and Nancy, for chatting a little with me, and hope you have a really great rest of y'all's day. And all right, that's it for our episode here in Tech Services. Thanks for tuning in, and you'll hear a little bit more right after this.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite. Unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time. One book could be the first element. Helps to change a life. People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Over the years, libraries have experienced a major transformation concerning the role of technical services. As they say, the times they are a-changin'. New formats, new technological innovations, and technical librarians have had to adjust right along with all of these advancements. Probably the biggest change in library collections has been the shift from print to electronic resources and how librarians have had to adapt to that. Basically, the gist of all of these changes is that patrons utilize the library differently than they did in the past, and that the job of a technical services librarian has evolved as a result. I'd like to thank the head of KCPL's Technical Services Department, Marion Veld, and Technical Services librarians, Nancy Allen and Amy Airy, for taking time out of their busy day to chat with correspondent Jai Ravine. I'm Stan Howe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on More Than Books, Stories from the Kanawha County Public Library.